The San Francisco 49ers took to the field for the final preseason game tonight against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Vegas Raiders holding out 37 players not suiting up for the game. And the 49ers playing Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, some starters out there in the field, getting some nice opportunities on the gridiron, catching the football, making great plays, rolling out of the pocket, bootlegs, all sorts of crazy stuff. We're going to break some of that down tonight from what we saw from the starters. We also have this crazy take I have to tell you about on Christian McCaffrey and what he's going to do this season, as well as some pretty controversial Ricky Pearsall news, and we'll close it out with the 2-minute drill. As always, if you're new here, I'm Nate. We're talking the San Francisco 49ers every day on this channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it on the action. And if you like my videos, if you like the content, please hit that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm, I'm told, and that's good. So San Francisco 49ers entered into the preseason game with starters. Not all of them, obviously, but it was nice to see Deebo out there. It was nice to see George Kittle out there making plays. It was nice to see Jordan Mason back out on the field after missing him for a week. All those things were good. And then on the downside, two of your top 3 defensive ends on the depth chart, Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd, end up getting injured and are questionable to return, which is better than how it looked at first. I saw both injuries happen live in the moment, and I was like refreshing Twitter. I had like Jennifer Lee Chan's Twitter page up. I was like, somebody's got to be talking about what just happened. She's the only one I saw that saw YGM go down, and then right after that, the literal next play, it was Leonard Floyd, and Leonard Floyd's looked even worse. So it was like not a good situation. So far, things are looking okay on that one. But first, before we get into the details of the game, because I can't help myself. I'm already going into it, as you can already tell. Let me know. Comment below, who was your standout player, by the way? Who is standing out for you against the Raiders? Who is standing out? I'm just curious. Let me know who you think. For me, I think it was nice to see Brock Purdy just looking super comfortable, as always, looking a little bit more confident maybe than even normal, which was a good sign. It was nice to see George Kittle climb the ladder. I actually can show you that one later in a few minutes here. So that was nice, but let me know who your standout player was. I'm recording this at halftime right now, so I don't know what the second half's going to bring, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled on that. But I look forward to seeing what you have to say about that one. Now, later in the video, as I mentioned, we're going to get to an insider's big Christian McCaffrey take. We're going to get to that Ricky Pearsall stuff, but I do want to get to first just some of the details here from the preseason finale, really focusing on starters here. So, firstly, Brock Purdy, first play of the game. I better turn the sound off there. That could be problematic for me. First play of the game. My goodness, what a spot to put the football. I mean, there's nothing a defender could ever do to stop that ball from getting caught apart from pass interference. I mean, this was just beautiful. Also saw another beautiful play. I'm trying to remember if that was the first drive or the second. I have to look at my notes in a second here. But my goodness, right between the linebacker and the safety, and just on the money, putting it where only George Kittle can. He had to climb the ladder. You give him credit for that, because if the ball was any shorter than that, he's intercepted. If it was any longer than that, George Kittle doesn't get there and it's intercepted. So my goodness. And I mean, come on, one of the ugliest men in all of football getting angry about it. I'm not going to feel bad about that one bit. Interesting on that play, Brock Purdy gets absolutely drilled. David Lombardi saying he still placed it in possibly perfect spot, 20 plus yards downfield. That's an elite throw that precious few QBs in the NFL are making consistently. Purdy made it consistently all last season. That's what I want to hear. That's exactly right. It's like, let's not act like this is the first time we've heard those things. 49ers have not gotten much production through the years from the edge opposite Nick Bosa. They went out and signed defensive ends Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos. Both sustained knee injuries in the first quarter in the final preseason game, as I mentioned. And there's that depth chart, right? Currently injured. Let's see after the game what Kyle Shanahan has to say, and hopefully this is nothing serious. That's all I can hope for, because if it is serious, then I'm going to be really disappointed. And you're going to be seeing some guys who are further down the depth chart. Alex Barrett sticks out off the top of my head right now. Alex Barrett? Barrett. for sure, right, Alex? Whatever. He's a guy who he might be getting some opportunities up here, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. Just some game notes from me though, as I refresh our page here, try and get the updated stats there. There's still a few minutes left there. Still a few minutes left in the second. I thought it was quite halftime. I guess it wasn't quite halftime. But just some notes for you here, okay? So loving some of those Brock Purdy plays. Not going to argue with that one bit. Starting lineup, Purdy, Deebo, Kittle, Jordan Mason, Braden Willis, Jalen Moore, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, Nick Zakelj, Chris Conley. Those are kind of your starting guys that are out there. Deebo has that heck of a catch. George Kittle has that great catch. Tackle for loss, Braden Willis did not look great in those opening few drives. Not a good setup for Braden Willis, as he is, I think he's a lock on the team, but definitely not what you want to see from him from a blocking point of view. No, thank you. Nice long field goal for Moody. And then the second one, interesting, Robbie Chosen was out there a couple times in those first couple drives, or the second and third drive. He kind of found his way in there for a couple reps here and there. Tonjes was out there as well. Jordan Mason looked great. Had some nice runs in there. And against like 2s, 3s, maybe some 4s. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I'm just being honest, right? Then Moore and Zakelj. I don't know what they were doing when Purdy gets sacked. That was just, it just looks so messy. So messy. I'm not a genius in the offensive line, but any Dumbo could watch that one and be like, what are you two doing right now? I think so that pass to Kittle, by the way, where he climbs the ladder, was the second drive. Now I'm seeing my notes here. I told you I'd find it. Little improv from Purdy. A couple times we saw him doing that. Mason, lots of nice little runs here. Grendo came in, picked up where Mason left off, had a couple nice little runs, like 6 or 7 yards a pop, which of course you would take that in a full game against the ones, but against the 2s and 3s, I mean, maybe we call those little. I don't really know how to really rate all of that. And then Jordan Mason with the touchdown. Then in the third drive, not as clean as the first and second drive in terms of how some of those plays worked out. Braden Willis with a false start. It's just not his day. Garbage pick off of a deflection. That was too bad. I don't like those garbage plays. I grew up actually playing hockey. My dad was a big football and hockey fan, and I grew up playing hockey, and my dad would always call those garbage goals. So like those goals that you're like, just things happen, and you're like, yeah, okay, on the stat line it shows he threw a pick. It does, right? But it's a deflected ball. It pops up in the air. It falls kindly right where the linebacker's running. I mean, things just worked out that way. So whatever, you take it, and you don't really worry too much about those deflected interceptions, especially in preseason. Brandon Allen then is back in, and that's when I was like, all right, we're getting ready for a halftime video. That's what happened there. On the defensive side of the ball, I already talked about the injuries, but I will throw out there Devondre Campbell looking really good. Forced a fumble. I think he was the one that forced the fumble. That's what it looked like live in television, at least. Made some big tackles quickly and powerfully. Definitely has that speed and violence that the 49ers are always talking about, always looking for. Rock Ya-Sin has an incredible pass break up there. And then on the special teams side, Isaac Grendo is the one who returned at the very beginning, returned it to like the 33. Pretty good return there. Jacob Cowing looked really comfortable, despite a lot of movement in the air on a couple of these punts. Really moving, reacting quickly, catching the ball, taking hits. That was all nice to see. You worry about guys like that, especially speed guys. I always worry about like how fragile they could end up being. And I'm telling you guys, I've said this this is now the third, and it's preseason, but it's the third game in a row that Malik Mustafa breaks through the line when we kick off the football. And he's like if he's not the first guy, he's like the second guy breaking through the line, and he's there to the returner faster than anybody else. He is just absolutely incredible. He's slippery. He's able to get in. He's super fast, and he's powerful. Love all of those things. Hey, that's as quickly as I could go through just some thoughts on that football game. I want to get back to the rest of the program, though, here. All right? So just looking back at what our plan was here. Oops, a daisy. There we go. I want to talk about this insider take on Christian McCaffrey, because this one, I'm not going to lie to you, this one kind of caught me off guard. All right. So So historically, running backs who win Offensive Player of the Year have historically had quite a big drop-off following that season. And you put your body through a lot to get to that level, right? That OPOY level is just special. And perhaps that's why Christian McCaffrey, to be fair, quote unquote, has been injured. But here's some players to consider, right? Todd Gurley won it in 2017, and in 2018 he put up good numbers, but his knee fell off. I mean, it just fell apart late in the season, and then into the postseason, ran it for 10 yards in the NFC Championship. Ran it for 35 yards in the 13-3 loss in the Super Bowl against, I want to say it was the Patriots. His career dropping off after that. Todd Gurley, not loving how that turned out for him. Chris Johnson won Offensive Player of the Year in 2010, went from a 2,000-yard season to a 1,300-yard season, which is good. You'll take that, but never saw those kinds of numbers again. Shaun Alexander won it in 2005 and followed up with foot injuries, didn't even break 900 yards or single-digit TDs the following season, and he dropped off a cliff after that. All that being said, in fairness, to play the other side of the argument, we got to give credit where credit is due. 7 dudes have gone back-to-back in leading in rushing yards. So we'll give credit there that as we look at these takes, I know this has been a long intro to the take, but it's a big take, all right? It's a big take. I want to give credit where credit is due. At least there have been guys who have done this. So it's not like it's impossible, all right? So here are the takes. By the way, I don't know if I covered it or not. Did I? Somewhere. So Cynthia Freeland, yeah, NFL Network's analytics expert for over a decade. Here's what she had to say about what she's anticipating this season. So leader in rushing yards, Christian McCaffrey again with 1,400 yards basically. Rushing touchdowns, Christian McCaffrey, leader. That's number 2. If you're counting, 13 rushing touchdowns, leader in rushing touchdowns. Leader in total touches, 354, Christian McCaffrey. That one kind of sells itself. I'm not going to really argue with that one there. And then total touchdowns at 18. So Cynthia picked Christian McCaffrey to lead in total touchdowns, total touches, total rushing yards, and total rushing touchdowns, which is basically he's going to have a monster season again, and he's going to be the Offensive Player of the Year twice in a row. I mean, that's kind of what that's saying. Obviously, it's possible you do all those things and you still don't get Offensive Player of the Year because the quarterback position is really important too. But my goodness, those are bold claims there, and I love it. I love it. I'm not gonna act like I'm smarter than she is, and I would love if she's right. I mean, that would be fantastic. My gut is like, don't even let your head go there. Don't let your heart go there. You're gonna be disappointed. I'm worried about this season, and I would love if Christian McCaffrey would maybe not touch the ball as much and just make sure he makes it into preseason healthy or postseason healthy. That's what we all want to see from him because we need him down the stretch. And I do worry a little bit with how many times he touches the football, but there's nothing we can do about it. So there you go. Pretty interesting take. On the Ricky Pearsall controversy, let's talk about that real quick. I believe I have that here. Yes, I do. 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall had shoulder injury prior to the draft. Now, we knew a little bit. We didn't know all of this. This is where it gets kind of crazy, okay? So Mike Silver was on KNBR, said the other component of that is Pearsall, who looked amazing in like 1.5 practices. He was actually healthy since they drafted him, but has a shoulder thing that is now recurring and worrying over the long haul, something they knew about before they drafted him and were hoping wouldn't be a thing. Pearsall started training camp on the non-football injury list with a shoulder injury while he was briefly able to return to practice before a minor hamstring injury. He re-aggravated his shoulder and is once again sidelined from the practice field. A pair of early career shoulder injuries raises concerns about any prospect, but the fact that Silver noted that the 49ers knew about his shoulder issue before the draft raises more questions. And now we've learned, I believe, that he had shoulder surgery. I thought I heard that somewhere, that he had shoulder surgery, and the 49ers knew about that. I could be wrong. Maybe I just misread injury, and I guess that's possible. But there's a lot of disappointment there, okay? Because I thought I had something on there. I don't know where it went. Oh, well. I had something on here, and maybe I'll find it while I'm talking. But here you go. So on the Ricky Pearsall side, the negative side, of course, I already kind of showed you there. It's kind of odd that they knew that already. But on the bright side, here's what David Lombardi had to say. John Lynch said the 49ers' plan was to get the shoulder 100% right, has been to slow play the rehab process. He also added that San Francisco is now higher on Pearsall than when they drafted him. All this context is relevant. It's months too early to pass judgment here. And that's fair. Completely fair from David Lombardi. We need to take it easy. We have a long season ahead of us. And yes, Ricky Pearsall, our first-round draft pick, we would love to see on the football field. Like tonight, would have been nice to be able to watch him with the ones and see what he can do out there, see what those slick routes look like against other teams. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. We're not going to get that, and we'll take him when we can get him. And hopefully, if they slow play this right, he'll come back and he'll be healthy. We'll see how it all plays out. We also know that guys like George Kittle played with an injury for a super long time. His shoulder was kind of bugged up for several years, from like college on pretty much. And until this offseason, it was still bugging him until he had that shoulder surgery that just happened to help in a weird way, unexpectedly. If you guys don't know that story, that's a fascinating story. It's pretty wild. On the 2-minute drill, just a couple things left here that are still unsaid, which is 49ers technically called the Commanders and asked for a first-round pick or Terry McLaurin in exchange for Brandon Aiyuk, which, of course, they said no to. That was interesting news that came out today. But maybe more importantly than that is this. Brandon Aiyuk traveling with the team, walking in to Allegiant Stadium with Deebo Samuel. Love to see it. And it's I know, I don't want to go too crazy on Brandon Aiyuk because I don't even know what's happening. But I do think this is a positive sign. I do think that this is a sign that he's with the team. He's traveling with the team. He's at least thinking that this is going to turn around. I'm sure, I could be wrong, guys, but like, you're a football player. You're watching these games happen. You're watching your boys suit up. You're watching Deebo get suited up and ready to go play. I mean, don't you think Brandon Aiyuk wants to go play? Don't you think he wants to get out there and catch a football? Come on. I mean, he's been sitting on the sidelines for months. I cannot imagine, as a player, being healthy, wanting to play, and just sitting on the sideline for months. I mean, well, it feels like months. Maybe it's not. It's been a little over a month, right? So, yeah, I think Brandon Aiyuk wants to play right now. And so, yeah, he's there. He wants to be involved. He wants to get the deal done. That's what I think. I think that's what's going on here. And I could be wrong, but you let me know what you guys think in the comments. I look forward to joining you there as always. We'll have to, I think second half hasn't started yet, so we are going to have to pick up the second half of the game and see what else the 49ers have in store for depth and those key positions that people are battling for. It's going to be another fun one to watch, even though it's just preseason. And now at this point, I changed it already. I changed it. 17 days, guys. 17 days until the New York Jets, and now real football is here. 17 days until Monday Night Football against the New York Jets at home. This is going to be a big one. I can't wait. It's going to be super fun. As always, what a time to be alive.